Hi, everyone. The topic of today's video is women's rights in the 1960s and 70s. And we've been talking about civil rights, the civil rights movement, the 50s and 60s for African Americans. But I want to make sure you understand that civil rights are not just for a certain group. Civil rights are extend to everybody. Okay? Civil rights are the rights of citizens to political and social freedom and equality. So this extends to all groups, all minorities, all genders. Okay, so civil rights, we're going to talk about how these apply to some other groups in the 60s and 70s. I got to do this video in 5 minutes because that's all I have with Screencastify free version. So we're going to make this quick, but I want to go through a couple quick things. So if you look at women, World War II, women did some things in factories, and Rosie the Riveter you see on screen here, that allowed them to gain some more respect and show that they could do some things in the workforce. So World War II kind of is this catapult to some things we're going to talk about and some things that women are going to push for. Here's a word that sometimes is controversial. I think sometimes people misinterpret it, the word feminism. After you're done watching this, if you get a chance, ask your parents to define the word feminism and see if they give you a positive or kind of a negative definition. But here's the definition we're going to use: the theory of the political, economic, and social equality of the sexes, or organized activity on behalf of women's rights and interests. And I don't think either one of these definitions of feminism are controversial at all, right? The idea that women should be equal to men in a lot of ways. So this is something women are going to push for in the 60s and 70s. A lot of times all you hear about is the women's right to vote, and that's kind of it. But women have to continue to push for things like equal rights in the workplace, equal pay, equal opportunities in society. This doesn't end. This doesn't end with the 19th Amendment. So that's kind of what we're going to talk about. So, lady here, a women's rights leader, very important, Betty Friedan. Betty Friedan is going to be the president of NOW, and this would be a major air test thing if we would have it. If we would have an air test, but NOW stands for the National Organization of Women, which is an important organization pushing for women's rights. Betty Friedan wrote something called The Feminine Mystique. And I'm going to have you read this. It's one of your assignments to read this excerpt right here, so make sure you know where to find it. This talks about problems women face in society and things that are kind of going unnoticed. And Betty Friedan pushes for women to be able to kind of break out of that sphere and have more opportunities in the workforce, more reproductive rights, things like that. And yes, there are some controversial things with some of those things, especially reproductive rights and abortion, which I'll address here in just a second. Sometimes you hear the phrase women's liberation, okay? The idea that women are going to liberate themselves from the constraints that are put on them by society. So you'll hear that at times as well. So let's go down here to the National Organization of Women. And also I want you to watch this clip after you're done with this video. Go to the PowerPoint that I've put on there, the whole PowerPoint. You should have this link. But National Organization for Women, they push for things like equality for women in education, being able to go to college, same opportunities as men. By the way, today, women go to college higher rates than men. Equal opportunity in employment, child care centers throughout the nation. Think about that. That's still an issue today. Child care for women. We still talk about that. And then women's control over reproduction, which obviously is a little bit more controversial. Some successes of the women's rights movement in the 60s and 70s. Title VII, outlaw discrimination on the basis of sex. So you have some actual legislation here. There's an Equal Employment Opportunity Commission set up to make sure they're enforcing these statutes that allow women to have equal opportunities in jobs and equal pay. There's no discrimination of women. And also the Equal Credit Opportunity Act, which made it illegal to deny a woman credit, a credit card, a loan, because of her gender. So there's some successes that are there. Also, you have some controversial things. You have Roe v. Wade, which said women had right to legal abortions, or better said, states can't ban abortions. Also, Title IX, giving women equal opportunity in education, sports, equal funding for sports. Look at some of these successes. In the 70s, 30%, okay, from 5.4 to 30% law degrees, medical degrees, 23%. So women's rights had some success in the 60s and 70s. Talk to you later.